There's a special kind of betrayal that doesn't just break your heart, it rewrites every memory you thought was safe. This is the story of how my best friend took my husband and years later came back to my door crying. I never believed betrayal would come from her. We had been best friends since college. We shared clothes, secrets, inside jokes. She was the first person I told when I found out I was pregnant, and the first person I cried to when I lost that baby. Her name was Sarah, and she knew everything about my marriage. When I married Daniel, Sarah stood beside me as my maid of honor. She helped plan the wedding, she adjusted my veil before I walked down the aisle. She whispered, "You're so lucky." I believed her. Daniel and I weren't perfect, but we were stable, comfortable, predictable in the way long marriages become. And that's where the cracks started. I didn't notice the small changes at first. Sarah started coming over more often. At first, it made sense. She was single, lonely. I trusted her completely. Then, Daniel began mentioning her casually. Sarah said this restaurant is good. Sarah thinks we should repaint the living room. Sarah said you might be stressed lately. It was subtle, too subtle to accuse anyone. So I ignored the discomfort sitting in my chest. The night everything changed was painfully ordinary. I came home early from work. The house was quiet, too quiet. I remember calling Daniel's name. No answer. Then I heard laughter. Soft, familiar, coming from our bedroom. I walked down the hallway barefoot, my heart pounding so loudly it felt unreal. And there they were, my husband, my best friend, in my bed. I don't remember screaming. I don't remember crying. I remember standing there, completely numb, as if my body shut down to survive. Sarah looked at me first, her face drained of color. She whispered my name like I had walked in on a mistake, not a betrayal. Daniel couldn't even look at me. "I can explain," he said. "But explanations don't matter when your world collapses." I walked out without a word. I didn't take my phone. I didn't take my purse. I just left. That night, I slept in my car. I stared at the ceiling, replaying every memory, every laugh, every hug. How long had this been happening? Later, I found out. 8 months. 8 months of lies. 8 months of dinners I cooked while they shared glances. 8 months of my best friend listening to me talk about my marriage while sleeping with my husband. The divorce was quick. Daniel didn't fight it. He moved in with Sarah almost immediately. That hurt more than the affair, because it meant he didn't just fall, he chose. What hurt the most was that Sarah never apologized. She sent one message: "I didn't mean for it to happen this way." The first year after the divorce nearly destroyed me. I lost weight, I lost friends, I lost the version of myself that trusted easily. People whispered, some took sides. Sarah posted photos online, vacation pictures, engagement rings, smiling captions. She looked happy, and I looked broken. But time has a strange way of reshaping pain. Slowly, I rebuilt. I changed cities, I changed jobs, I went to therapy. I learned how to be alone without feeling empty. Years passed, and one day, I stopped checking their profiles. 5 years later, I was living a life I was proud of. I had my own apartment, a job I loved, friends who knew my story and stayed anyway. I hadn't spoken to Daniel or Sarah since the divorce, until one evening, there was a knock on my door. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to. When I opened the door, I barely recognized her. Sarah stood there, thinner. Her eyes were swollen, her hands were shaking. She looked broken. She started crying before she even spoke. "I didn't know where else to go," she said. I stood frozen. Every instinct told me to close the door, but curiosity won. We sat in silence for a moment. Then she spoke. Daniel had cheated on her multiple times. He drained their joint savings, lost his job, left her with debt. And now she looked at me and said something I will never forget. "I finally understand how you felt." That sentence hit me harder than any insult ever could. She asked me for help. She said she had no one else, that everyone had abandoned her. She apologized, really apologized, for the first time. I listened. I didn't interrupt. I didn't comfort her. I just listened. When she finished, she looked at me with hope, waiting. And that's when I spoke. "I forgave you a long time ago," I said. Her face relaxed. But then I continued. "Forgiveness doesn't mean access." I told her I hoped she healed. I told her I hoped she learned. But I would not be her support system. I would not clean up the mess she helped create. She cried harder. She begged. And I stood up and opened the door. She left without another word. That night, I didn't feel angry. I felt free. Here's the truth people don't talk about. Karma doesn't always come loud. Sometimes it comes quietly, asking for help. And the real victory isn't revenge. It's having the strength to say, "I survived you. I don't need you." She took my husband, but I took my life back. And that was the best ending I could have ever